Alright, today we're looking at Camco RV Quick Turn RV Permanent Bypass Kit. These kits are the kits you install when you want to bypass your RV in the wintertime, so you can fully winterize your trailer. Comes in a kit with a little short hose, some Teflon tape, a T, a check valve, and then a little shut-off valve. It's actually a three-way bypass valve or diverter valve. If you check out my other videos, the old school way of doing it actually involved using three different one-way shut-off valves. You had one on the bottom, one on the top, and then one in the middle. Then they evolved to just including two three-way valves. You'd have a bypass valve there and a bypass valve there, and to bypass, you turn them both to bypass. Then they evolved into the current methodology, which is a T, a check valve, and a bypass valve. So you're basically replacing one valve at the top with a check valve and a T. And that's a pretty simple and elegant design. It keeps the end user from having to manipulate more than one bypass valve. With this setup, you just hit the one bypass valve on the input, and it would automatically not allow water to backflow into the water heater. The only problem with this method is that these check valves don't tend to hold up in hard water situations very well, and they don't seem to hold up very well at all. You know, it seems like it should be a nice solid brass check valve. But if you live anywhere where there's hard water, that's going to end up being a problem. This did last 3 years, but my water slowly became more and more of a trickle until it got to where there wasn't enough water flow to actually kick on my instant hot water heater there. So this might look confusing to you. I've actually got two diverter valves set up here. One prevents flow or bypasses flow from the normal 6-gallon gas electric water heater, and one diverts flow from the instant hot water heater there. And let me explain the way this works real quick. Crawl under here. Alright, so you start out with your input on the bottom here. This is my water input. Cold water in, coming into the bottom of the hot water heater. This is my first bypass valve. If I want to bypass this hot water heater, I'd turn this to bypass. And you note that the direction of the handle always indicates direction of flow. So now the water would come in, hit the closed handle, and go up to the top of the hot water heater there. Alright. Under normal operating conditions, the water would come in the bottom and then come out the top here. And you see I have two bypass valves there. In a normal situation, you would just have one, or you would have this setup where you have a check valve preventing backflow of water. And then your bypass hose would connect to that, and your output would connect to that there. But I had the older style kit installed first that came with two bypass valves, so that's why I have two there, and that is actually turning out to be a much better long-term solution. So my recommendation, if you're going to do a permanent full-time RVing bypass setup, that you actually use two bypass valves, and the only inconvenience is that you have to set both of them to bypass in order to bypass. Coming out of the top of my normal water heater, I got a 1/2-inch union, and then I've got my second bypass valve, and this actually controls water flow to the second hot water heater there. It might seem like overly complicated and like a big maze of plumbing here, but this actually allows me to turn either of these on or off at will. If I'm boondocking, or if I'm trying to conserve water and and propane, I'll just use the instant hot water heater. When I'm fully connected to shore power and water, I like to use both of them actually. That allows me to have pretty much boiling water or near boiling water coming out of my sink and all my fixtures at any given time. And I use that to make coffee, tea, ramen, whatever the hell you want to make. You got boiling water on demand. And if you're going to do a setup like that with dual water heaters, you really need to watch all your connections and hoses. Basically, my weakest point here are my braided hoses here. The two white lines are just the diversion things, and they're never on, so they aren't as likely to fail. You just need to keep an eye on your braided lines there, and ideally you'd want to go with PEX. So the second diversion valve sends water out this line, down around, and to the input of my instant hot water heater, and then the output of the instant water heater comes up and around to yet another bypass valve, and this one then goes on to feed the trailer. So if I wanted to bypass the second water heater, I would simply set that one and that one to bypass. If I want them both on, the handles are going to go with the line of flow. As long as all my handles are going with the line of flow, they are all on. Whichever one I want to turn off, I just turn the handle to bypass. And they actually do say bypass on them. So it's pretty simple. Pretty easy to do. So like I said, in most situations you just have the one here, and then you'd have your this line normally right there would connect right there and go out to the trailer. But I teed off of that, and I have a second hot water heater so that I can have more convenience there. Alright, let me show you how my instant hot water heater works. I go ahead and turn on the hot water there. You see it pretty much comes out at the point of steaming. And see it turning on there. I'll show you how it clicks on. So that's off. It just kicks right on. Pretty good unit. I get them out of South America for like 120 bucks. I think they sell them on Amazon now too. Back when I bought this one, you couldn't get them anywhere. These were all coming out of other countries. Because they've been doing the instant hot water heaters in other countries for many, many years. It's only in America that we stuck onto our tanks. So I would definitely recommend instant hot water setup to anyone. And bypass, as complicated as I made it look, it's actually really simple and a good idea.